I've been thinking a lot lately about how we are always being told to change our lives in these really big, dramatic ways. New year, new routine, new goals, new habits, new identity. And while these shifts can be really powerful, they can also at times be really exhausting. So I wanted to take the opportunity in this episode to talk about the opposite. This episode is about small, almost ridiculous things that you can do to shift the energy of your life. Not permanently, not perfectly, but just enough to make your day feel a little bit more alive. These are things that don't require a major life overhaul. They don't require a ton of motivation or a ton of discipline or a 5-step morning routine. They're just tiny decisions that beg the question, what if today felt a little bit different? Because sometimes the reason that life feels stale isn't because you're doing anything wrong. It's just that everything feels predictable. Same routine, same playlists, same coffee order, same conversations, all of the same just playing on repeat. And when you interrupt that pattern, even in just a really small way, something shifts. Something in the energy of your day shifts a little bit. Your posture changes. It's like your curiosity comes back online. And you start noticing things a little bit differently than you used to. I want you to think of this episode as a menu. You don't have to do all of these things. This is not a to-do list. This is a list of things that you can pick and choose from, implement them when you want, forget them when you don't, and use them to just subtly shift the energy of your day. You don't need to turn them into lifelong habits. Think of this as just borrowing a different version of yourself for the afternoon. So if your life feels a little bit flat, a little bit beige, a little bit low energy, stick with me on this one. We're going to shift the energy up a little bit.
Welcome to the Mindset Gym podcast, where we exercise your way of thinking to help unlock your hidden potential. I'm your host, Emily Irwin, a registered nurse and holistic nutritionist with a passion for all things health, fitness, and personal development. All right, let's get into it.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Mindset Gym podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. We're talking about something kind of fun today. This is not a big overhaul. This is not a big to-do list. I'm not giving you a ton of things that you need to do today. I want you to think of this as an Alakart menu. Just take what you want and leave the rest. My goal for today is to give you some things that are really small and some of them kind of silly, but they're really effective at just subtly shifting the energy and shifting the vibe of your entire day. And this can be really helpful in a lot of ways. First of all, it can help if your life is just feeling really stale. Like if it feels like your life is just the same thing on repeat over and over again, it's become very predictable. There's nothing really exciting about it. There's nothing that really gets you going. This can be the thing to interrupt that pattern and add a little bit of excitement, a little spark of something different. It can help you get out of that rut of the same mundane thing on repeat. This can also help uplift your mental health, because that same mundane, repeated pattern, being in a rut, being stuck, doing the same things over and over again with no change, can be kind of depressing, right? There's not a lot of stimulation, there's not a lot of curiosity, there's not a lot of different things to force your brain to think in new ways. There's nothing to get you out of your little bubble. And so I think this is a good opportunity for you to just expand your way of thinking and expand your view of the world. And it can really help uplift your mood and uplift your overall sense of well-being. And something else I really love about this, something that I have found whenever I've implemented new things, is that this can be a really fun way to kind of manifest your goals. If there is something new that you're wanting to work towards or something new that you're wanting to implement, this is a really fun way to kind of dip your toes in the water, see what it feels like, see what the energy feels like, and go from there. And it can be a really fun thing to look back on when you're needing motivation to continue showing up for a bigger goal that you have in your life. So I'm just going to get into this. I'm just going to give you a ton of examples and you take what you need from it, okay? And if you do implement any of these things, I would love for you to let me know. Let me know in the comments if there's anything from this episode that you put into your day, and tell me how it shifted the energy. Tell me how you felt once you put it into practice. So the first thing, drive to a neighborhood that you can't afford yet. And just take a walk around. Walk around as if you're a local. Put on a fancy outfit, put on some sunglasses, put on some good music, and just stroll around that neighborhood as if it's your own. It's just a fun way to shift the energy. And going back to what I said about how it can help you manifest your goals, this was actually something that my now fiance, then boyfriend, did several years ago. So many years ago, we had talked quite a bit about wanting to build a house at some point, and we talked about the neighborhood that we wanted to live in. And we talked about the developer that we wanted to get. We had kind of all these ideas in our head, but we couldn't afford it yet. We couldn't live in that neighborhood yet. And so what we would do is we would go to open house tours in that neighborhood. And we would just look around the houses as if we were going to buy them. We weren't. We couldn't afford them. But we would go do the tours of the house and see what they looked like. And then we would sit in the car in that neighborhood and just talk about how we're going to live here one day. This is going to be our home one day. And we just kind of started getting into the mindset of, this is our home. This is where we belong. And it shifted that energy, and it added a little bit of motivation for us to keep working towards it. And the funny thing is, the exact place that we had parked our car and sat and had that conversation is now a 2-minute walk from my home. So it ended up coming to fruition several years later. The next one. Go to a bookstore and spend 30 minutes looking at books that you would never normally look at. Topics that you would never think to read about, genres that you would never even give a glance to, something totally different from your norm. You don't have to read the whole book. Just check them out and see. Number 3, go to a fancy hotel bar, order one drink, and people watch. And just get yourself into the energy of some fancy person who would be staying at that hotel and drinking at that bar. And it just kind of gives you this fun, ritzy energy for the afternoon, and you can take some time to take in the scenery, take in some people watching, see what everyone else around you is doing. Number 4, buy yourself the expensive flowers. Or the equivalent of this. This could be the fancy coffee that you never buy because it's a little bit too expensive. This could be buying the brand name of one of your grocery items if you never do that before. This could be, maybe you're going to get a massage, which is something you do on a routine basis, but you add a little something extra in this time, just for fun. Treat yourself a little bit, just for fun, just to switch up the energy of what your routine feels like. Next one. Go on a solo date somewhere that you would never typically go. And this could look like a lot of different things. This could look like going to a restaurant that you've never been to before. This could look like going to a park or a museum or a store that you've never been to before. Something that is so far out of your norm that you would never think to do it on a regular basis. Take yourself on a solo date there and just see how it feels. Number 6? You guys, I've lost count already. My God. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop giving you guys numbers. I actually don't even know where I am. I'll just give you the tips. The next one. Spend the afternoon listening to music that you would never normally listen to. So if there is a genre of music that you typically would never think to listen to, one that never comes up on your playlist, you never download it, you never put it on, listen to that for the afternoon. See how it shifts up the energy. See how you feel. Maybe you'll find some music that you actually really like, and this might end up being something that you do long term. Or alternatively to that, spend the afternoon listening to a podcast that you would never listen to. So if you are typically someone who is into personal development like I am, maybe you spend the afternoon listening to murder mystery or pop culture or something totally outside of your norm, just to get a completely different perspective on other people's thoughts and the information that they want to share. You might learn something really useful from it. The next one. Take a class that you would never normally take. Now, I've talked about this before. If you have watched the episode where I did 50 new things in 50 days, and I talked about that whole experiment, there was quite a few classes I did throughout the course of that experiment, and I talked about the value of drop-in classes, where you don't have to sign up for an entire season of something, you don't have to sign up for a semester of something, you're not committing to months of doing a thing, because you don't know if you like it yet, okay? We're just doing one drop-in class, and most places offer drop-in classes. This is typically an option for a lot of the things that you may want to do. Just go once. See how you feel. See how it shifts up the energy. See how it makes you kind of step out of your mundane day-to-day routine and add a little bit of spice of something new. And something really cool might happen, which is what happened to me during that experiment, is that you may end up finding some classes that you actually really like, and they end up becoming a staple part of your routine going forward. So you actually shift the energy of your life, not just for the afternoon, but longer term, which is pretty cool. It's just a nice little, low barrier to entry way to try something new. The next one. Move the furniture around in one of the rooms in your home. Even just slightly. Even if it's just taking one chair and putting it somewhere different. There is so much value in just moving around the configuration of a room. It can do so much for shifting the energy and making the space feel new and vibrant and alive. This is something I love to do. This is something I think I got from my mom because when we were growing up, she moved the furniture quite a bit. And I love to do it to this day. Whenever things are feeling kind of same, mundane, boring routine, it's really fun to go and just move the furniture around because then this room, this kind of staple part of my routine that is already there, has a whole new energy. So it feels like this thing that already exists in my day-to-day now has a whole new presentation. Next one. Switch the wallpaper on your phone to something aspirational. Whatever that means for you. Something fun, something maybe related to a trip you want to take, maybe it's a inspirational quote or phrase that you want to keep in mind for the next little while. Make it your phone wallpaper. Something that'll just, give you a little bit of new energy, switch up the vibration a little bit every time you look at your phone screen. Next one, dress up for the mundane. If you're going to the grocery store, if you're just staying at home and cleaning your house, get dressed up for it. I do not believe in saving your fancy outfits for a special occasion. Wear them. Wear them now. Wear them whenever you want. Because it's not about the occasion. It's about how they make you feel. It's about the energy that they bring. So you putting on this really fancy outfit and doing your makeup and doing your hair, putting on some fancy perfume or putting on some fancy cologne, it just adds this little element of excitement to what you're doing. Even if it is just chores around the house. Don't save those fancy outfits for just the fancy occasions. The next one is playing tourist in your own city. This is one that I love to do because I live in Ottawa, Ontario, and it is a little bit of a tourist area in Canada, which is nice. I live in a place that's got a lot of touristy options in the downtown core, and so it's fun sometimes to get into the mindset of a tourist and do the kind of typical touristy things. And if you're not sure what those are, look them up. Look up your city and look up, tourist attractions in wherever you live and see what you get. See what typical tourists would be looking to do in your hometown and go do those things for a day. See your town through the lens of someone that has paid money to go and visit there. It really shifts the energy of where you live and gives it a little bit more excitement. The next one, do something slowly on purpose. Now this is helpful for switching up the energy and switching up the intention of what you're doing, but it's also really good for regulating your nervous system. I think we all have a habit of rushing through things and doing all of our day-to-day tasks as if it's an emergency and as if it's very, very urgent. And we don't need to. I think it's kind of this, I think it's this anxiety within us that makes us feel like we need to go and do everything and get things done. And I think that comes with the culture of, productivity and busyness and do more, is you feel this sense of urgency all the time. And so without even realizing it, you're probably rushing through a lot of tasks that don't actually require you to rush through them. There's a lot of value in you really intentionally slowing down and just taking in every moment of what you're doing. So let's say you're doing the dishes. Take your time with it. Take your time to really appreciate the temperature of the water in the sink. Maybe use some fancy soap that smells really nice. Put on some good music and just take your time and enjoy it. It'll give you a moment to help slow you down, regulate yourself, calm your nervous system a little bit. And it helps to just bring a much more mellow energy to your day. Next one. Buy and use a disposable camera. Now you may know the ones I'm talking about. Those ones they used to sell at the grocery store that you can take maybe 20 or 30 photos on and then you have to go bring it in and get it developed. Buy and use one of those. It's going to bring back a little bit of retro energy, a little bit of fun to what you're doing that just brings a different energy than using your iPhone camera. This is something you could use just in your day-to-day. Maybe you just take it around and you snap photos of things that you think look pretty. Or maybe you take it with you on a night out with your friends and take some kind of retro-looking photos and then go and actually get them developed. It's a really fun way to change the approach of making memories. And as a part 2 to this, take photos of ordinary things as if they're art. This is something that I find myself reflecting on a lot when I go on vacation because I want to remember where I am. I want to remember all the things I'm doing. And so I find myself taking a lot of photos of seemingly mundane things, like things that I would normally never take photos of during my day-to-day life, whether it's, storefronts or every meal out at a restaurant or things I pick up at a convenience store or just the scenery of a busy street, right? Like all of these things that I would not normally think to snap photos of in my day-to-day, I find myself doing it a lot on vacation. And the last time I was away on vacation, I found myself reflecting a lot on how this practice helps me feel a lot more present and a lot more appreciative of all the little small moments of beauty just in my day-to-day life that I would be missing out on otherwise. And it got me thinking about doing this in my day-to-day life and bringing that kind of presence and gratitude for the things around me to my day-to-day. So even if you don't do anything with the photos, even if you take them and delete them at the end of the day, keep an eye out for things that you find some beauty in. And it could be anything. It could be the coffee shop that you go to every morning. It could be a flower that you see on your morning walk. It could be the sunrise. It could be your morning cup of coffee. Start snapping photos of it as if they're art. And if you choose to keep them, it can be a really fun way to keep little memories of all these little moments of beauty around you. So when you need a reminder of all the beauty in the day-to-day and all the beauty in the mundane, you can go back and look at it. The next one, sit in silence for 10 minutes. I believe I've talked about this on another episode. I, for the life of me, cannot remember which one, but I talked about the value of sitting in silence and what that brings up in your head and the chance that it gives you to really just think about things. Now, this is a hard one. I think a lot of us have a lot of trouble sitting alone with our thoughts and just letting our brain run and seeing what comes up. There was actually a study that was done by psychologist Timothy Wilson out of the University of Virginia that forced people to sit alone with their thoughts for a period of time. And a lot of people reported finding it boring or extremely difficult. And there was actually a section of the study where a lot of participants were given the choice between sitting alone with their thoughts for a period of time or giving themselves an electric shock. And a lot of them chose to give themselves an electric shock over the choice of just sitting with their thoughts. So this is a hard one. This is a little bit more of a big ask, but you sitting alone with your thoughts for 10 minutes in silence, no distractions, no phones, no nonsense. It gives your brain a chance to settle down and just start working through all of the mess of stuff that is going on up there. So if there is a lot of stress from your day, if there's a lot of things on your to-do list, if there's a lot of thoughts about maybe something that happened last week that you haven't really worked through yet, if there is something creative that you were wanting to work on that you haven't really given any time to, this is a really good opportunity to let your brain just run with whatever comes up, and it can really shift the energy of how you feel. Even 10 minutes. It's not a big chunk of time, but you'll probably find that at the end of that 10 minutes, the entire energy and the entire feel of your mental state has shifted. So I would really recommend that you try this, especially if you're in a state where you're feeling really anxious and overwhelmed. The last one I have for you, drink out of a fun glass today. I think we all, or at least a lot of us, I know I definitely can remember a time when we were kids where we would drink juice or water out of a wine glass because it felt really fancy and it felt really fun. I want you to put that into practice today. So whether it's your morning coffee or just a glass of water or your protein shake, whatever it is, put it in a really fun glass. Maybe it's a champagne glass, maybe it's a martini glass, maybe it's a wine glass, whatever adds a really fun, fancy element to what you're doing, pour it in there and drink it. Just to give you this little sense of elevating the mood a little bit, this little element of fanciness. It just makes it a little bit more fun. So there you go. That's your menu for today. I want you to pick and choose something from this and implement it into your day and see how you feel. They're not major. They're not serious. You can probably see from the list some of them are just downright silly. And that's the point. That's the point. The intention of these is to interrupt your autopilot, to bring you back into your body, to add a sense of novelty without all of the pressure, and to remind you of the fact that you get to set the tone. You get to set the energy of your day. You get to set the vibe. You get to set the mood. It's up to you. And you have the ability to interrupt it and change it at any point. So if you don't like the mood of your day, if you don't like the energy that your day-to-day life is bringing, you can change it. You have the ability to change it. And these little tips that I gave you is a good low barrier to entry. It's a good small starting point for you to put into practice and remind yourself that that power is yours. That you're not stuck in a routine, you're not stuck in an energy that you don't like. It's up to you to change it, and you have the ability to. Okay? Get out there. Let's shift some energy around today. All right? You got this. I love you. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. If you like the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, or share the show with a friend. Your support helps the show reach even more incredible people just like you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time at the Mindset Gym.